North Shields is a town on the north bank of the River Tyne, in the metropolitan borough of North Tyneside, Tyne and Wear in North East England. Historically part of Northumberland, it is located 8 miles east-northeast of Newcastle upon Tyne. Its name derives from Middle English schele, meaning temporary sheds or huts, and still today, the area is synonymous with fishing and other trades associated with seafaring. History. North Shields is first recorded in 1225, when the prior of Tynemouth, Germanus, decided to create a fishing port to provide fish for the priory, which was situated on the headland at the mouth of the River Tyne. He also supplied ships anchored near the priory. A number of rudimentary houses or scheles were erected at the mouth of the Tyne where the stream enters the Tyne, as well as wooden quays which were used to unload the fishing boats. The quays were also used to ship coal from a local collieries owned by the priory. Soon the population of the new township numbered 1,000. The burgesses of Newcastle upon Tyne were determined to preserve the custom rights that they had enjoyed up till then, which covered the whole length of the river. They successfully petitioned the king in 1290 and managed to suspend trade from the new settlement. It was forbidden to victual ships or to load and unload cargoes at North Shields. The opposition of the Newcastle burgesses remained for a considerable time, but despite this, North Shields continued to develop as a centre for fishing and exporting salt produced at local salt pans. For a considerable period the Newcastle burgesses, known as the hostmen, who controlled the export of coal from the Tyne, resisted the export of this commodity from North Shields. The town was originally restricted to a narrow strip of land alongside the river because of the steep bank which hemmed it in. Eventually the town became too overcrowded, and in the 18th century buildings began to be erected on the plateau 60 feet above the old, overcrowded, insanitary dwellings alongside the river. The prosperous businessmen and shipowners occupied the new town, whereas the working people remained in the lower part of town. The low, riverside part of the town was linked to the newer, higher part of the town by a series of stairs. These stairs were initially populated by slum dwellings. Although these dwellings have long since been cleared away, the sets of stairs still exist. One of the first developments of the new town was Dockwray Square, built in 1763, a set of elegant town houses that became populated by wealthy families. However, due to the poor provision of water and drainage facilities, the wealthy families soon moved to the more central part of the new town, especially the new Northumberland Square. Dockwray Square eventually deteriorated into slums. In the early 20th century, Stan Laurel lived at a house in Dockwray Square for a few years, before he became famous. The square has since been redeveloped and a statue of Laurel stands in the middle to commemorate his stay there. Landmarks. Because of the difficulty of navigating ships into the mouth of the river past the dangerous Black Midden Rocks, buildings were erected in the 16th century with permanent lights burning to be used as a guide by the mariners. High and low lights are pictured on a 1655 map of the River Tyne, a pair of square castellated towers. Both lights were rebuilt in 1727, and these buildings still stand today. In 1810, the old lights were replaced by new high and low lights, placed respectively at the top and bottom of the steep bank alongside the river. All these lights were owned and operated by Trinity House of Newcastle upon Tyne until they ceased operation. Today, the old high beacon, as well as the high and low lights, are private residences. They remain prominent landmarks. In 2014, the black-painted old low light was opened to the public following a substantial refurbishment. It contains a cafe, shop, museum, viewing platform and event space. In 1806, a marketplace was opened on New Quay. In 1870, work began on constructing a fish quay to provide shelter for the docked fishing boats. This quay is still in use today. Clifford's Fort, located on the Fish Quay, was built in the 17th century as a coastal defense against the Dutch. The fort also played a role during the Napoleonic Wars. The site of the fort was used to build new fish processing facilities, and very little now remains of the original fort. The area is currently undergoing restoration. Part of the foundations of the 18th century master gunner's house were found below the concrete floor of a fish processing unit. Elsewhere on the site, part of the stone edging of cable tanks belonging to the submarine mining depot were uncovered. One of North Shield's oldest landmarks is the wooden dolly statue. In 1814, the female figurehead of a collier brig was placed at the entrance to Custom House Quay on Liddell Street, and stood there until 1850, when it was vandalized. A second figurehead was placed on the same spot. The wooden dolly, as the figurehead was known, was used by seafarers as a source of good luck charms, by cutting pieces of wood from her to be taken with them on voyages. Eventually the figurehead was defaced beyond repair, and after 14 years was replaced by wooden dolly No. 3. This remained until 1901, when it was replaced with wooden dolly No. 4 in the shape of a fishwife. A fifth wooden dolly, also a fishwife, was placed in Northumberland Square in 1958 and still remains there. In 1992, a sixth wooden dolly was placed where the first 4 had been, at the entrance to Custom House Quay, and can still be seen there, next to the Prince of Wales Public House. Gallery. Industry shipyards have been in existence in North Shields since near its founding. The smaller yards built the Northumbrian Coble, a small inshore fishing vessel with a lug sail, well known in the northeast. Larger yards built wooden sailing collier brigs, used to transport local coal to London. Eventually these small yards were replaced by larger yards such as the Tyne Dock and Engineering Company and the Smith's Dock Company. These yards produced iron vessels for various uses, including fishing and the coal trade. In later years the North Shields yards were used for ship repair work, with Smith's Dock surviving until the 1990s. None of these yards remain. Transport. In 1847, a rail link to Newcastle was established when a railway station was built in Oxford Street, off Tynemouth Road. Eventually, it was replaced by a new station further away from the river after new rail lines were developed. Culture. YMCA North Tyneside was founded in 1870 and was originally known as the Borough of Tynemouth YMCA. After an inaugural meeting on 7 June 1879, weekly meetings followed in the Sons of Temperance Hall, Norfolk Street, North Shields. The YMCA grew in popularity. Within a year, larger premises were needed. Meetings moved to 53 Tyne Street, North Shields, and in 1879 to Camden Street, North Shields. In 1920 the YMCA moved to a building in Bedford Street, where it remained until 1938, when it moved to the present building and the current registered office at Church Way, North Shields. Regeneration. Beginning during the 1990s, an extensive regeneration program saw the revitalization of the redundant Albert Edward Docks, the Wet N Wild indoor water park, an outlet shopping center, a bowling alley, a soccer dome and a marina form the centerpiece to the Royal Quays development to the west of the town. Similarly, major regeneration of the Fish Quay to the southeast of the town centre has included the construction of luxury apartments and the conversion of existing buildings into restaurants and bars. Mark Di Suvero's Tyne and Wear, his only large-scale public artwork in the UK, can be seen at Albert Edward Dock. The site of the former Smith's Docks was acquired by the developer Places for People in 2007. In January 2015, they sought planning permission for the construction of homes on the site. Geography. The town is bounded to the north by Whitley Bay and to the south by the River Tyne. The village of Tynemouth is to its east, and the A19 road marks the boundary between North Shields and Wallsend to the west of the town. It is part of the North Tyneside conurbation. Over the years, North Shields has grown from a small fishing village to incorporate the nearby villages of Churton, Preston and Billy Mill. Cullercoats and the Marden Estate are considered suburbs of North Shields. Meadowell, a large council estate, Meadowell to the west of the town, was constructed in the 1930s to house residents displaced by the clearance of the Dockwray Square slum. These flats were replaced with better quality homes in the 1960s and 70s. Meadowell was formerly known as the Ridges Estate, a name occasionally used today, since it was built on the site of the Ridges farm. Its name is derived from a well situated in a meadow upon which the estate was built. On Monday, the 9th of September 1991, Meadowell was featured heavily in the news across the UK as riots broke out, which continued for 3 days. Many properties were damaged, cars burned out and the local community centre burned down. As a result of the riots, the local housing was gradually improved by the council over the next 3 years through demolition and rebuilding, as well as renovation. The film Dream On is set on the estate. Industry. Collieries in the town were located at 3 of the outlying villages since incorporated into the town: at Preston, at the location of the present cemetery gates, Percymain and New York. Following the demise of coal mining and shipbuilding in the area, several business parks, industrial estates and trading estates were established, providing alternative employment. The biggest of these are the Silverlink and Cobalt Park, the UK's largest office park. Atmel had a plant located at Silverlink, previously occupied by Siemens, but the plant is now demolished apart from the office building, now home to Cobalt Business Exchange. Cobalt is home to an Orange call centre. The town's association with the early days of the railways is recognised at the Stevenson Railway Museum on Middle Engine Lane near the Silverlink. Transport. Rail. The Tyne and Wear Metro links North Shields to Newcastle city centre, and to other destinations in Tyne and Wear including Whitley Bay, Newcastle Airport and Sunderland. The station, originally constructed for the Newcastle and North Shields Railway, was redeveloped between 1980 and 1982 for the Metro. It was subsequently refurbished in 2012. Local ferry. A half-hourly ferry service connects North Shields to the town of South Shields on the opposite bank of the Tyne. From June to October, river trips by ferry operate. International ferry. An international ferry terminal, the only one in the region, is based at Royal Quays and provides connections to the Netherlands. The ferry service to Gothenburg, Sweden, ceased operation at the end of October 2006. DFDS Seaways sister company, DFDS Door Line, continues to run scheduled freight ships between Gothenburg and several English ports, including Newcastle, but these have limited capacity for passengers and do not carry private vehicles. Religion. North Shields has a number of religious buildings. Christian churches. Church of England Christ Church, Preston Road, now the parish church of North Shields but originally consecrated as Tynemouth Parish Church on Sunday 5 July 1668. St. Augustine's, Jackson Street. St. Peter's, Central Avenue, Bulkwell. Holy Saviour's, Crossway, Tynemouth. St. John's Terrace, Percymain. Roman Catholic Church St. Cuthbert's, Albion Road West. St. Joseph's, Wallsend Road, Churton. United Reformed Church St. Columba's, 30 Northumberland Square. Methodist Church North Shields Methodist Church, Hawkes Lane. Baptist Union of Great Britain North Shields Baptist Church, Howard Street. Preston Grange Community Church, Salvation Army, North Shields Salvation Army Corps, Howard Street. Other churches: North Shields Fisherman's Mission, 42-47 Fishkey, the Cedarwood Trust, Avon Avenue. North Shields Spiritualist Church, 42 Stanley Street West. Sport. The town is home to the non-league football club, North Shields FC. Founded in 1896, the team competes in Northern Football League and plays home games at Darren Persons Stadium. The team has twice played at Wembley Stadium and winning 2-1 on both occasions, against Sutton United on the 12th of April 1969 at the Old Wembley to win the FA Amateur Cup, and against Glossop North End at the new stadium on the 9th of May 2015 to win the FA Vase, the Amateur Cup's successor. Notable people. Prominent locals include Ralph Gardner, who opposed Newcastle when it attempted to prevent the docking of coal ships in North Shields. Gardner was imprisoned in 1653 for refusing to close his brewery, which supplied provisions to the ships. In 1655, he petitioned Parliament against what he claimed were the unfair demands of Newcastle. Gardner, regarded as a local hero, had a high school named in his honor near the former site of his cottage. The school, nicknamed Ralphie's Raised by its students, closed in 1994 and was redeveloped into the Gardner Park housing estate. A monument to Gardner was erected near the school. Academia. Michael Thomas, linguist. James Egan Molden, headmaster and Methodist minister. Arts. Business. J. Lewis Salmond, architect. Fashion. Lucy Ratcliffe. Model. Industry. William Harbert, inventor of plasticine. George and Robert Stevenson, pioneering engineers. William Woodhave, inventor of the lifeboat. Medicine. Edward Headlam Greenhow, physician. Birger Tvedt, Norwegian sports medical and physiotherapist. Military. John Herbert Hedley, WW1 Flying Ace. John Nichol, Royal Air Force navigator. Tommy Brown, youngest ever recipient of the George Medal. Politics. Hastings Banda, physician and President of Malawi. Thomas Burt, miner and Member of Parliament. Thomas Eustace Smith, English shipping magnate and Liberal Party politician. Claire Ward, Member of Parliament. Ernest West, Australian politician. Sport. The family of Cuthbert Collingwood, 1st Baron Collingwood, a notable naval commander, and Edward Collingwood, a barrister who ordered the construction of Dissington Hall, had their seat at Churton Hall in Churton, now a western suburb of North Shields. The Collingwood Arms, a public house, was later built on part of that land before being demolished in early 2005 to make way for a retirement home.